Okay, so for the next couple of lessons, we worked more on what we practically did. So we looked at the discussion we had with the characterisation, and we figured out a couple of changes. We looked at mainly props, so the use of the glasses. We added cups. We added a water jug with actual water. We added knives and forks to set the table and to create the environment of a kitchen. And we used a phone and a ringtone. We'd already established that we were going to use a noise that would trigger the reset of the whole scenes. So it wasn't like that. It was as part of the scene to use the phone ringing out like an old-fashioned phone. And then again, that was a platform in which helped us use more Brechtian style techniques, like breaking the fourth wall and alienating the audience. So in terms of using those props, our initial idea was to set the scene to allow the characterisation of the certain characters to come out by the way that they used them. So we felt like Alice was a bit OCD, so the way she would set knives and forks would be really precise. She would be really precise about how the table was set with the glass cups and with the water jug. And in that way it would show that she had like a tendency for OCD. It would give Maisie something to do and show off some of her characterisation, because for a lot of the talking it's Brian and Alice, so Maisie isn't really doing anything, so it would allow her to sort of drink from the glass. It would allow her to show off that she's a bit like not all there, that she's a bit different, a bit quirky, especially compared to Alice and Brian. And yeah, in terms of the cups as well, it could be a fun thing for the characters to play with to show off their different characterisation as well. When talking about some of the scenes, obviously I wanted to talk more about the way we used the phone. So in one scene, Brian is cut off by the ringing of a phone, and he answers the phone, and then we find out that there's been an accident on the tube where Susie is. And we don't know whether she's injured because of the accident or whether she's okay. So it's really like quite dramatic when it comes to the audience's thought process. It's quite like one of the more dramatic outcomes that could have happened. And so we wanted to make this more obvious to the audience that something dramatic was going to happen. So when the phone rings, one of the bystanders who sits on the risers would hold the phone, and the phone would ring, and we would all look at the audience and then look at the phone and follow Brian as he is speaking on the phone. So to sort of show this attention, but also alienating and breaking the fourth wall by looking at the audience when the phone rings. It was another Brechtian style. This wasn't written in the script. This was something we thought would be really effective, and I think it's worked so far when we've shown it to the audience. It's had the desired effect. Another change that we did was just some things that came naturally. So a lot of improvised moments with the characters, like we thought about what the liquid could be. We thought it'd probably be alcohol, so we thought Maisie could take more of an interest in that. We played about with ideas of her, sort of tasting it, having a bit more, having a lot. In one of the scenes, it could be suggested that she has an interest in more alcohol. She's a bit out of it, as Lewis sort of suggests we go have a drink, get away from this like load of his family behind him. But also we sort of, when improvising, we sort of felt like this would give off a funny sort of character vibe. When there's one of the more heated scenes between Lewis, Alice and Brian, Maisie is just in the background. The idea that she's potentially been drawn in by all the action and she overfills the cup and it spills everywhere. To have that effect to be done correctly would sort of show the idea that in some way she's really intellectual, but she's not all there, and not all there in this moment of time. She knows a lot about specific things like animals and like lots of scientific things, but not really a sociable person or a person who really contributes to the conversation an awful lot. Finally, we figured out devising the final part of the play in the bit that we're doing, the extract that we're doing. We finished it on the gunmen entering because we felt like it was a good close in showing how things get more unusual as well, because we have a bit where little children run in randomly, and it gives off this other, things are just becoming a bit odd. So with the gunmen, we figured out how to do this. Obviously we don't really have many realistic guns. We didn't want to use props that were really disposable, because Brecht uses props to like his fullest and everything has a use. So we decided maybe we could use the idea of one with a knife, one could strangle Alice with a scarf, and the other could snap Brian's neck. And we did that by using a polo mint and getting the crack at the same time. Obviously we had to rehearse this a little bit, we've still got to work on it, but the whole idea of that scene sort of seems more and more absurd, like away from the ordinary and a bit abstract in its way, and obviously will have more effect in taking away from the naturalism of the scene, because obviously that wouldn't happen. But I think the most important thing that we realised in the ending, we read to the end of the actual play and it repeats and it finishes halfway through a scene, and so we thought what would be a clever way to show that and to show how the play keeps going on, to show the writer's intentions that the play just continues and there could be a immense possible amount of outcomes, is that we would repeat. So it's me, Izzy and Marlon at that point who kill the three main characters, would come on and then put on the jacket as Brian, put on the scarf as Alice, and put on the glasses as Maisie, and then say she's taking her time, to sort of show the repetition, to show what the play is all about. And that's what we feel the intentions were of Churchill in regards to her Brecht style. But yeah, so mainly gone through all the rehearsals, working on that. I have a couple of videos of our rehearsals so far, and what I've just discussed.